Today, we're about to hear a story that might just leave you speechless. It's a tale of an ordinary woman who made an extraordinary choice that changed everything. What started as a simple, selfless act of kindness ended up leading to something truly unbelievable. You won't believe what happened when she gave her last dollar to a homeless man. The very next day, her life was turned upside down in the most surprising way. Stay tuned, because this is a story that will make you believe in the power of good deeds and karma. One day, while she was out shopping, the woman saw a homeless man sitting on the sidewalk, looking down at the ground, with no one paying him any attention. She felt a sudden urge to help. At that moment, she only had a few dollars left in her wallet. But without a second thought, she decided to give him her last dollar. She looked into his eyes and smiled, thinking, maybe this small act of kindness will make his day a little better. She didn't expect anything in return, but something told her that this gesture could change more than just his life. The next day, she went about her usual routine, thinking little of the small gesture she had made the day before. Life, after all, was busy. She had work to do, errands to run, and people to meet. But as she made her way to her car early that morning, something felt different. There was a sense of anticipation in the air, something she couldn't quite put her finger on. Maybe it was just the excitement of a new day, or perhaps the warmth of her kind deed from yesterday still lingering in her heart. Either way, she brushed it off, focused on the day ahead, and continued with her plans. On the way to work, she passed the spot where the homeless man had been sitting the day before. To her surprise, he was no longer there. She thought it strange, but quickly dismissed the thought. After all, he was probably just moving on, as many homeless people do. They can't stay in one place for too long. However, something inside her couldn't shake off the thought of him. She wondered if he was okay. Maybe he had found something to eat or a place to rest. She hoped he was doing better than he was the day before. Yet it wasn't just her concern for him that stayed with her. It was the thought that maybe, just maybe, that dollar had made some kind of difference in his life. She tried to push the thought aside and focus on the work ahead. The day passed like any other, filled with meetings, emails, and the usual tasks that come with running a busy life. But when she returned home that evening, something unexpected happened. As she walked up to her front door, she noticed an envelope sticking out of her mailbox. It was strange because she hadn't been expecting any letters or packages. Curiosity got the best of her, and she reached for the envelope, her fingers lightly grazing the paper. She pulled it out and saw that it was addressed to her, though there was no return address. With a slight frown and a growing sense of curiosity, she opened the envelope. Inside, she found a letter and a few bills. At first, she thought it might be some kind of mistake, or maybe it was a bill she had forgotten about. But then she saw the writing on the letter, neatly written in bold, clear handwriting. As she unfolded it, she noticed the words immediately. The letter began with a simple greeting, "Dear kind soul." Her heart skipped a beat. She didn't recognize the handwriting. Was this a mistake? Was it meant for someone else? She kept reading. "Your kindness yesterday touched me more than you could ever know. I'm the homeless man you met on the street, the one you gave your last dollar to. When you handed me that dollar, I couldn't believe it. You didn't even hesitate, and you didn't judge me for being where I was. You just gave. In that moment, I felt a warmth I hadn't felt in a long time, and for the first time in months, I believed there might still be good in the world." She paused, her eyes welling up with tears as she read those words. It was him, the man she had helped. She hadn't expected anything in return, not even a thank you, yet here he was, reaching out to her in the most unexpected way. The letter continued, "That dollar didn't just help me with my immediate need, though. It gave me hope. You might not have known it at the time, but your gesture reminded me that not everyone looks at me like I'm invisible, that there are still people out there who care. I've been on the streets for a while, and honestly, I've lost faith in humanity. But you gave me a reason to believe again. So, I wanted to send this small token of my gratitude. It's not much, but it's all I have to give. Please accept this as a thank you for changing my perspective on life." As she read the last words, she felt a lump in her throat. She couldn't believe it. This man, who she had given a simple dollar to, had not only noticed her kindness, but it had also made a real difference in his life. The money inside the envelope was a modest sum, but it wasn't the money that struck her most. It was the gesture, the words, the acknowledgement of her kindness. And it was the reminder that sometimes, even the smallest act can have a huge impact, not just on others, but on ourselves as well. Her hand shook slightly as she held the envelope, still absorbing the magnitude of what had just happened. She had never expected anything in return for her simple act of giving. But here she was, holding a letter that reminded her that kindness always comes full circle in ways we can't always predict. She couldn't help but smile, realizing that sometimes the universe has a way of surprising you when you least expect it. As she finished reading the heartfelt letter, her emotions were running high. She had never imagined that a simple act of kindness, something so small and seemingly insignificant, could lead to such a profound impact. But what happened next left her utterly speechless. She stared at the money inside the envelope, just a few bills, but it wasn't the money that mattered. It was the message behind it. The letter had been written by the homeless man, the very person she had helped the day before. And now, here she was, holding a tangible reminder of how her one small gesture had touched his life. The letter described how he had been living on the streets for months, struggling with everything life had thrown at him. He had felt invisible to the world, ignored by society. But her act of kindness had changed that. It wasn't just about the dollar he had received, but about the feeling of being seen, being acknowledged. In that moment, he had felt valued, and that had given him the strength to push through another day, to keep going. But the biggest surprise wasn't just the letter or the money. It was what the man had said next. "I want to thank you in the only way I know how," the letter continued. "I don't have much, but I've saved a little bit for a long time. Please use this money to help yourself, just like you helped me. I know it's not much, but it's all I have." Her eyes widened as she read those words. The man, who had so little, was offering her a gift in return. It was an overwhelming moment, one that filled her with gratitude, humility, and awe. She had expected nothing, nothing at all, in return for her kindness. Yet here was this stranger, someone who had nothing, trying to give back to her in the best way he could. She couldn't believe it. How had this moment come full circle in such an unexpected way? She had helped him, thinking it was a small gesture, something that might brighten his day. But she had no idea that it would come back to her in this way, in the form of his appreciation and his offer to help her, despite his own circumstances. The gesture was more than just a financial transaction. It was a reminder that kindness is never wasted. It has the power to create a ripple effect, touching lives in ways we might never fully understand. The fact that the homeless man had saved a little bit of money for a long time, just so he could offer it to her, spoke volumes about the profound impact of her act. As she sat there, holding the letter and the money, she reflected on what had just happened. She had given so little, a single dollar, and yet it had meant so much. The universe had a strange way of rewarding good deeds, even when we least expect it. But this was different. It wasn't a reward in the typical sense. It was a reminder of the power of human connection, the power of kindness, and the way our actions can ripple out into the world, affecting others in ways we may never fully comprehend. At that moment, she knew she would never forget this experience. It wasn't about the money or the surprise. It was about the reminder that, no matter who we are, where we come from, or what we have, kindness can make all the difference. The homeless man had given her something priceless, a lesson in the true value of selflessness, and the knowledge that every small act of kindness can lead to something bigger than we ever imagined. As she sat there, reflecting on everything that had just transpired, a profound realization washed over her. The entire experience had reminded her of something incredibly important. Kindness, no matter how small, always finds its way back to you. She had given away her last dollar without expecting anything in return, thinking it would only brighten the homeless man's day. Yet in the most unexpected twist, her simple gesture had created a ripple of change that not only impacted his life, but had also brought something meaningful back into hers. This story wasn't just about a woman giving money to someone in need. It was a story about the profound impact of human connection and the power of compassion. It showed her that sometimes, the smallest acts of kindness can spark something much bigger. It wasn't about the dollar. It was about the warmth, the acknowledgement, and the reminder that no one is invisible. When you show someone kindness, you remind them that they matter, and in turn, that person can begin to believe in the goodness of the world again. The moral of the story was clear. When you help others, you not only make their lives better, but you also enrich your own. Life doesn't always work in a way that we can predict, and we may never truly know the full impact of our actions. But every kind deed, no matter how small, creates a ripple effect that extends beyond what we can see. Just as her $1 had lifted the homeless man's spirit, it had also left her with a deeper understanding of the importance of giving and selflessness. She realized that kindness, in all its forms, has the power to transform not just individuals, but entire communities. It's a reminder that, no matter how tough things may seem, there's always something we can do to make a difference in someone's life. You don't need to have a lot of money, resources, or even grand gestures to make an impact. Sometimes, all it takes is a simple act of compassion to change the course of someone's day, and even their life. This story also served as a reminder that life has a way of balancing things out. When you put good energy into the world, it has a way of coming back to you, often when you least expect it. And this time, the universe had made sure to surprise her, not with a material reward, but with a powerful reminder that doing good in the world doesn't go unnoticed. Even if no one else sees it, the impact of your kindness ripples through the lives of those you touch, and sometimes the universe itself sends its thanks. She now understood that kindness is one of the most powerful forces in the world. It's free, it costs nothing, and yet it holds the ability to change lives in ways that we might never fully grasp. Every moment is an opportunity to be kind, to uplift others, and to create a better world for everyone around us. Whether it's offering $1 to a stranger, a kind word to someone in need, or a small act of service, kindness is a gift that always returns, often in the most surprising and meaningful ways. And as she sat there, holding the letter and the money from the homeless man, she couldn't help but feel grateful, not just for the money, but for the reminder that life, in all its unpredictability, has a way of rewarding good deeds in the most beautiful, unexpected ways. She now knew that kindness wasn't just about giving to others. It was about creating a chain of positivity that could continue to grow and spread to others, changing the world one small act at a time. If this story touched your heart and reminded you of the power of kindness, don't keep it to yourself, share it with others. Imagine if we all made just one small act of kindness a part of our daily lives. We could make the world a much brighter place. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs a little reminder that kindness really does make a difference. And if you have your own story of a random act of kindness that changed your life or someone else's, we'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share your experience. Let's spread positivity and good vibes everywhere. Thanks for watching, and remember, the world could always use more kindness, one small act at a time.